a leader, it is important. Most people were arguing that the coronavirus will not affect black people, and I've seen a lot of death tolls being black people worldwide, in America, all over. Let me just give you some statistics about the coronavirus. So far, worldwide, the coronavirus, we've had 2.3 million cases, over 160,000 deaths. And we've had 520,000 people who have recovered. Those are just statistics worldwide. So when we talk about social distancing, it's very important for you to stay home. People are not obeying that. We've seen Funke, Akindele, Bello, a Nigerian star, hosting a party, and a guy called Nigerian was part of the party. Anyway, she was apologetic, but at the funeral of Abba Kyari, we didn't see any social distancing there. It was a proper funeral with many people who had attended the funeral, thousands, and people were close to each other. This is somebody who has died of the coronavirus, and people are there parading this funeral. Is the law fair in Africa? Do we impose laws that suit ourselves or suit the leaders themselves? Because if the leadership have said, do not party, do not be found in public places, keep a distance from others, social distance, and then we see a funeral of the chief of staff of the government of Nigeria having a state funeral. Meanwhile, it was even announced in the newspapers of Nigeria that if a coronavirus patient dies, the Nigerian government would dispose of it without, families having a proper burial. But this man has had a proper burial, proper mourning, proper everything, except he was not in a casket. But when I saw him being put 6 feet under, it was a wake-up call. Regardless of how you live on this earth, 6 feet under is your destiny. And that is why, as a leader, it is important to put in place certain leadership that will empower the young people. This was a 67-year-old man that has gone to be with the Lord, that has died, that thought he was in power. He had the Nigerian government in his hands. But this virus took his life. Meanwhile, so many people are suffering in Nigeria. So many Africans have been victims of political agenda, whatever politicians want to do with their lives. In Zambia, we had a donation of 28 million kwacha from Trade Kings. Now, 28 million is $1.5 million. Now, instead of these leaders or whoever is in charge, the Ministry of Health, buying the proper face masks, some other political parties or the current government political party as well is rather thinking of giving those face masks with the PF logo, Patriotic Front. Why are African leaders very selfish? Why is it only about them and not about empowering the youth of Africa? I am happy to see how our mayor, Miles Sampa, Lusaka mayor, is donating some foodstuffs, food parcels to local people in Lusaka. That's a good thing. But more can be done with that $1.5 million that was received. We want to see better donations. I don't know what else will come out of this, but all I know is, Africa, this is a wake-up call. Had you put in place proper hospitals, had you put in place proper facilities for your people in your countries, we wouldn't be hearing of deaths. But rather, we would have been hearing of successful operations, successful this. In Africa, 3 countries have topped the coronavirus pandemic in terms of the spread. South Africa is number 1. Cameroon is number 2, and Ghana being the 3rd. But we have seen and heard how the president of Ghana is trying to empower the Ghanaians by giving them some incentives. We need more from more African leaders. Ghana has reached the top 3 of the African countries because it has got over 800 cases of the coronavirus. The coronavirus is a deadly virus. That is why the World Health Organization has declared it a pandemic. I've watched videos from 60 Minutes Australia where there's a blame game of, if the Chinese government had put in place a lockdown, then we wouldn't have had the pandemic going worldwide. But was this the Chinese mission? We don't know. But I'm here as a Zambian vlogger just to express my concerns about why politicians want to use this as an opportunity to campaign. And also the African leaders, waking up from their slumber. It's no more them traveling to London for operations or for medical treatments. All borders are shut. So they need to put in place the best hospital facilities that even locals can have access to. Had we prepared ourselves for all these years, for example, Zambia has had their independence for 52 years. But I tell you, 54 years. But I tell you, so many facilities are missing. We still borrow money. And people are even excited that the IMF is borrowing people money which is tax-free or interest-free. For how long will Africa continue borrowing money when we have leaders that are rich than the loans? They are richer than the loans. Because if you combine all the African leaders together, all the monies that they've embezzled, that money can pay off those loans that they want to borrow. So let the loans that are being offered because it's a crisis not excite you, because Africa has money. But it is how our leaders use our resources selfishly is what puts us in this situation. They are always asking. They are always begging. Now China is mistreating our own people. And African leaders cannot even speak out because they are begging from China. China is their source of income. So they cannot say anything against China. And that is a plan also of the Chinese, is to take over Africa. And they have tried by all means to do that as well by offering loans. We will build these buildings for you. We will build hospitals for you. Give us this, give us that. And now the countries are in debt. Zambia, for example, we have an electricity company called ZESCO. We've now been facing lots of load shedding because of these so-called loans from the Chinese. I am even told that the Chinese have shares in this same company as well. So now you can imagine, we keep borrowing from these people. We are enslaved because we've never thought of empowering ourselves. We've never thought of using the resources that we have to build our countries. There's even a debate in Zambia, for example, about the mines as well. The mines that were sold for $20 million to the Australian company. Guess what? This company made more than $20 million within 3 months. And they paid off the price of the purchase of the mines. Had we kept that mind to ourselves, to say we want to empower the Zambian people, we want to empower ourselves, we want to use these minds to educate our people, to build hospital facilities, because now we've discovered gold. All we needed to do as leadership, what the leadership needed to do, is to just bring expatriates that could help to extract those minerals and not selling the mines for gold. And for all these years, what we have been told is that we cannot make the gold into what it needs to be. We cannot make the cocoa into chocolate, into what it needs to be. We are rather told, give us the natural resources. They make it into the gold chains, the cocoa, chocolate, whatever it is, and then they sell it back to us double. For many years. And yet we could have built industries with our people who are intelligent within Africa. You can't tell me the whole Africa, all the countries, there is no intelligent people. We've seen a boy in Malawi building a windmill with just things he picks from the bin. How many more people can we have in Africa that can do things very intelligently? It's because our leaders don't even consult. They don't even want to empower the young people. They just want to empower themselves and to stay in leadership. How can Abba Kyari be friends with Muhammadu Buhari for more than 42 years? And you expect you, a young person, to have a chance? Nah. No chance. They will never even give you a chance to be in leadership. They are 42-year relationship, then you, a young person, should come and be given an opportunity. Who are you? And that is what keeps on going on. They keep their relationships. They keep on inviting only themselves within their circles. We have failed as Africans because of leadership. Our leaders have failed us because they only think of how they can make that money. What is $20 million? It's cheap. It's nothing. And here we are, still begging. When we have natural resources, cocoa, gold, you name it, Africa is rich. The Western world relies on Africa for everything. Yet we beg from them. We borrow from them. We travel to their hospitals. Our politicians travel to their hospitals. We are still under the colonial rule. It might not be there at the moment. We might say, oh, we are independent. We are not independent. How can we as Africans, for 50-something years, most of us have been independent for more than 50 years, we are still borrowing? From the whites, we moved to China. And that is why China is taking over Africa, because they have seen that we don't think. We have a problem, a big problem. Instead of empowering the youth, how many youths in Africa right now are jobless with their degrees? Many. How can somebody who is 67 years old still be working as a politician? 70 years old, 80 years old. I'm happy to see in Namibia that we have a 23-year-old girl who is a deputy minister of information. That's good. But can we have more youths in parliament? Can we have more youths working closely with the government? And then that is what even makes the youth of Africa just do anything. And people will say African youths are lazy. It's because they are never empowered. And this power is recycled. It's recycled within themselves. They don't even give a chance to any other person. Now that this man has died, Abba Kyari, guess what? You, a youth, will be eyeing the position, but they've already got a replacement, another older man. So you stand no chance. It's a cycle. Because our leaders are selfish. Have you seen even America, UK? Have you seen the president staying for 20 years in power? Look at Uganda. Museveni has been in power for I don't know how many years. Look at Zimbabwe. Mugabe didn't even want to leave the seat until he suffered from illness. Very selfish leaders that don't even think about us, the young people. So many talented young people are there in Africa, but they are wasting their talent because our leaders don't want to empower them. They want to stay in position. Retirement age for anybody should be 60, 65. Why should people be in position 70, 75, they are presidents? For what? Only in Africa. We do that. Yes, some other countries can also have 70-year-old presidents, but the younger the better. This coronavirus is a wake-up call to Africans. Now, we don't even have the facilities like ventilators. We have to see how we can import them. Who will come in? China. We don't even have proper face masks. Who will come in? China. Thankfully, some countries are manufacturing their own. Kenya is manufacturing their own face masks. Ghana is manufacturing their own. So many other African countries are doing that as well. And some youths are being empowered, like a woman I saw on TV from South Africa. She's making face masks as well. It's a good thing, but can we do more for our people in Africa? It's a girl in our times, also known as Bello. Thanks for watching my YouTube channel. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification button and follow me on all social media platforms. It's simply at Lilimo Times.